So today's question, we have a screenshot here with basically questions on a full system. So yesterday we did the Bloodhound portion of this question, which is basically over here on the left, and we were able to build the first signal. The first signal here, and well, even the second signal is the same. But it was just an example where, where basically the signal had failed here, and there was, there was a request for kind of like a secondary type of trade if there's a failure here. So to reiterate, in BlackBird, there's a couple of things missing in modifying the trade setup in case of a failure. So one thing that was missing is the this indicator that's plotting this line that identifies the crossover of those two indicators, right? Of those two moving averages. So we do need an indicator that would track that crossover price for Bloodhound. Bloodhound does need a plot or a data series from an indicator, to track something like this, crossover points, or whether it be like a swing high or a swing low, right? Indicators are track those pieces of information, or basically plot those price points on the chart. So that's one indicator that's missing. So so this modified kind of setup here in case after a failure, it's missing that. And also the second component is the number of contracts wants to be doubled. And so currently BlackBird doesn't have the ability to automatically adjust the number of contracts. So that's something that's there's no real standardized way to know when somebody would like to kind of double their number of contracts. So that's probably a capability that won't be able to be added to BlackBird. When you're getting into like modifying the number of contracts based on a very specific condition, that really gets you in the realm of custom coding, because everybody would have their different kinds of conditions, to decide when you double the number of contracts, or maybe they don't double, maybe they just add 50% more contracts, or who knows, right? There's just a huge mixed bag of way different traders could decide, when they increase the number of contracts. So, So anyway, so that's the second kind of component that's missing from, from the secondary kind of trade here, after a failed trade. So, but what we can do is just, the standard trade setup in BlackBird here. Right, so we have two contracts. We have a stop loss of 10 ticks. We have two targets, 10 tick and a 20 tick target. And also we want to break even +1 at 10 ticks of profit there. Right, so that will be pretty easy to do. And we have also the Bloodhound signal from yesterday's workshop that we can hook in here for these signals here, for these trade signals. All right, so with that, let me pull the chart up again here. Do need to set my chart up here, modify my chart a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, we have a 14-2 Renko chart. Yeah, that should be enough bars. Reconnect to the simulated data feed. And let's see, actually something else that will help is to have our to get our two indicators on the chart here. All right, so just a moment while I get these two indicators set up here. Okay, great. So we have our two indicators on here. So yeah, so now I can kind of start preparing for, let's see, let me pull the market down here. And I think we can, yeah, I think these indicators are ready to kind of set up for a short trade here. So I got the market pulled down, and I'll pull BlackBird up, and we can start plugging in all the components into BlackBird. All right, let's review the order settings again here. Let's see, I guess take it, yeah, this is going to be a market entry. So targets 10 and 20, a stop loss 10, break even at 10. Okay, yeah. So let's get BlackBird open here. All right, so we're going to start off with a market order, and our first profit target is going to be 10 ticks. And on the quick list, we even have on the quick list, we have a 10 tick stop loss with a, well, this has a trailing break even. So at least it has the break even part, and we can just remove the trailing from it. So, and let's, I guess let's double check and see. I just want to see if there was any mention of trailing rules. No, it doesn't look like there's any mention of trailing rules. So, all right. And let's see, before we get going too far, I'm just going to pull the trend into a neutral zone. All right, so back to the stop loss. All right, so we have a 10 tick stop loss. And in the trailing rules here, so on the trailing tab, here's our 10 tick trailing. So we can just click the X button there and cancel that rule, close that rule out. So here we go, here we got a break even at 10 ticks of profit left. So, all right, so there's one of our profit targets. So now let's set up for the 20 tick profit target. So we're just, what we can do is simply just copy the order A. Right, so there we go, market entry, stop loss is in place. We just need to go into our profit target here. So go back into the options tab and adjust our profit target to make it a 20 tick profit target. So there we go. So the quick lists made this really simple and easy to set this up. Now the next part to basically make this and turn BlackBird into an automated trading system is we need to hook up our Bloodhound signal, right? So we need an active signal. So you can either get that from Bloodhound, or you might have some custom indicator from a third party, such as maybe Indicators Warehouse, their DTS system, or Lucrum's Ruby indicator, or or anybody else. I think there's a handful of indicators out there that can produce trade signals, and those can hook right into BlackBird. But for us, we're going to use Bloodhound. All right, so first step is let's go choose the Bloodhound template. So, all right, so we got the Bloodhound interface open. we're going to click on File, and there we can see on our quick list here, on our recents list, right at the top, there's our Bloodhound workshop from yesterday. So we'll click on that. All right, that loads it all up. Click OK. And then the next part is we'll set up our entry signal template. So there it is. It's a T3 with a wick pullback. That's what we decided to name the entry signal there. There's no exit signals in this system. So, and we'll leave the show on chart and the racing stripes, we'll leave those turned on. And there we have it. Yeah, so the next step, once we have this set up, we can save it. So let's see, how about if, let's see, I'll just use this Bloodhound's, I'll use Bloodhound's Logic template name here for the BlackBird file name. So I'm just going to use the save and close button here. That's going to prompt me to save my BlackBird settings, right? So you can see that the BlackBird settings are stored inside the BlackBird folder inside of templates inside of NinjaTrader 7. All right, so if we want to take a look on the left here, so we have Ninja 7, NinjaTrader 7 folder, templates, and then there's a BlackBird folder inside of templates there. So, right, so here's all the previous BlackBird workshop files here. So I'm just going to grab the last one here and put a name in there. So let's see, today's the 17th. And this is the T3 T3 with, let's see, wick pullback. All right, I think that'll do good enough for a name. We'll save it. And then once it saves, the BlackBird's interface will close on us. There we go, closed up. All right, let's see. Let me minimize this chart here. There we go. Okay, we're all set up and ready to go. And you'll notice that when BlackBird's set up, when it has orders defined in it, you'll notice that the chart trader buttons, the colors look lively. You know, they're much more vibrant and bright colors here. So if BlackBird doesn't have any order settings in it, then the chart trader buttons are muted. They're kind of grayed out and muted. They have a muted looking color here. So, all right, so let's, oh, and this is an auto system, so remember to turn on the auto trader here. So, all right, so that's on. It's ready to go. So now let me just pull the market down. And hopefully the T3 indicators are ready to go. Oh, one last thing here before we actually get started here. We notice that, you notice how the Bloodhound signals are not on the chart yet. So to get those on the chart, you will have to reload the chart. So we'll reload it, and that allows NinjaTrader to put the BlackBird signals on the chart there. There we go. All right, so you notice that these signals don't quite look coherent, and that is because when Bloodhound, right, is added to the chart, it doesn't necessarily know which logic template to show. So we can just manually go here and select our logic template that we want to see on the chart, right? And there we go. Oh, and I'm missing one other thing. This system is designed to execute a trade in real time here. Or I should say, the Bloodhound signals are designed to operate in real time, right, on a tick-by-tick basis here. So we actually need to make an adjustment to BlackBird. So what I need to do is change the calculate on bar close setting here, so that the Bloodhound signal runs correctly. So we'll have to disable this temporarily and set our calculate on bar close to false, so that way Bloodhound can run with calculate on bar close false. That's how the Bloodhound signal and system was designed to run with calculate on bar close false there. So let's re-enable it. Okay, now we're good to go. And just for good measure, I'm going to set both of the T3 indicators to have calculate on bar close false as well. It's not really necessary, but it's just nice to see. Yeah, right, it's nice to see the indicators running on the current bar until they look correct. Okay, so now let me turn BlackBird's auto trader back on, and let's pull the market down again, and let's try and see if we can create a short signal here. Now these are very lengthy bars, so it's going to take a moment for price to pull down and create that reversal bar. Okay, so we need a crossover. There we go. It's crossed up. And let's see here. Let me generate one more down bar just to pull those indicators down a little bit further. Okay, that should be good enough. Alright, so the way this signal works is it's waiting for price to pull up to the dashed T3 line. And so, so once price makes a pullback to the slower T3 line, that will generate the Bloodhound signal, which will then BlackBird will execute our market orders. There we go. All right, price touched it, and of course the hopes is that once we get that touch, price will go back in the direction of the trend here. So let's see. There we go. There's a couple more ticks, and we'll have the first profit target taken off. There we go. Our stop loss moved to break even. And we'll get that second stop loss taken care of. Second profit target, sorry. All right, there we go. So, works nice and smooth. And I did notice, I just thought of one thing that I can do to kind of improve upon the stop loss break even trailing here. One thing that can be improved upon. Let's see. Let me pull the market up. I don't want to generate another bar. I'm gonna modify the order and then generate another trade on the next bar here. Oh wait, actually, that's right. Actually, I think the Bloodhound system was set up so that we don't get a secondary short signal. So let me just double check that. Let's see. Yes, right. So the Bloodhound Logic has a signal blocker so that, right, we only get one short signal in a short trend. So, okay. So I will need to, let's see here. I'm going to pull the trend down while we're working on this. And then I'll pull the trend back up and generate some long signals here. So I need to get the T3 indicators kind of in the right position, preparing for an uptrend here. Okay. So back to the improvement that I can make for that break even. Yeah, for the break even here. So if you notice, right, the profit target is 10 ticks, and the stop loss is moved to break even at 10 ticks. So an option that we have actually is when we're creating trailing rules, we can actually create a trailing rule that actually so that we can create a trailing rule so that the break even, instead of the break even being processed when there's 10 ticks in profit, we can actually trigger the break even based on the profit target getting hit and filled instead, right? So yeah, so here's kind of like an optimal way of doing this. So what we can do is just turn off the initial delay, right? So this initial delay was looking for 10 ticks in profit. So we were using the delay as the kind of triggering mechanism to move to break even. But instead, I'm going to choose to use the trigger on component. And we have this order status changed. So what we're going to be looking at is the order status of the profit target for A, right? Our first profit target. So when that profit target, when that order status changes to filled, that'll be our trigger. That'll be our triggering mechanism. So if you look, right, there's a bunch of different orders here that we can analyze, and what we're looking for is the profit target for A. Right, so on order A here, when this profit target gets filled, you know, we can set it. We can say when all the contracts get filled, right? So if you're trading, say maybe 5 contracts for the first profit target, you can make sure that they're all filled, right, before moving to break even. Or if you want to be a little more conservative, you can say, you know, when any contract gets filled for A, then move to break even, you know, right? And of course, this only applies if you're trading more than one contract here. So, all right. So instead of this being a break even plus 1 at 10 contracts, it's actually a break even at when target 1, our first profit target, gets hit, right? So we can change the name there just a little bit to show that it's right. It's modified a little bit differently. So, all right, yeah, and with that we can save and close again. Okay, and let's see here. Oh, one other thing. Let me go into order A here. Yeah, I just thought. So remember when I was setting up the stop loss for A, I used the stop loss that had a break even plus 10 ticks. But of course, you know, when the first order set that has the first profit target at 10 ticks. Well, this stop loss is not going to move to break even because the stop loss moves to break even at 10 ticks, which is where the profit target is, right? The profit target's at 10 ticks of profit. So there's really no need to have this here. It's just kind of extra work that, BlackBird has to do really kind of for no reason. So let's actually, instead of doing that, I'll just turn that off there. We can just turn the whole trailing action, turn the trailing rules off completely like that. So, all right. So with that, I'll save that. And it looks like we've got enough down bars here. Yep, oh, plenty. So let me move the market up, and we'll generate another long trade here. And we'll just test those new settings. All right, so we're just going to have to wait patiently for the market to move up. Okay, and we need these T3 moving averages to cross each other. There we go. And let me generate one more bar, one more bar. I'm going to pull that T3 a little closer. Okay, now it's generate a pullback. All right, a few more ticks. We're almost there. And there we go. So, and I believe sometimes with this system, reversal bars are generated, and then the market will, you might get a reversal bar once in a while, and then price might pull back, or price might, I should say, reverse and go back in the direction of the trend again. So anyways, I got the market pulled up, so we'll get our first profit target here hit, right? Order profit target A, we'll get that hit, and as soon as A is hit, then our stop loss will move to break even +1. There we go, break even +1. All right, well, that pretty much concludes this first question here. So let's see here. Let me see if anybody has any questions on this. Let me just put the trend into a neutral state there. All right, well, I don't see any questions coming in yet, but I'll give you guys plenty of time there. So, if there's any further questions on this, this is a pretty straightforward system here. Right, I just hooked in a Bloodhound Signal, and we got just a simple two target order set here, right? Submitted 2 contracts, one per profit target, and we have a stop loss that moves to break even at 10 ticks of profit, or basically when our first profit target gets hit at 10 ticks. So, well, guys, then hey, have a good weekend, but more importantly, have a good Thanksgiving and holidays next week. All right, and I guess I'll be seeing you guys again in 2 weeks. So have a good one, and rest up, do some yard work, whatever you got going on, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, bye-bye, guys.